Welcome back to the Cricket Show, and here's what's coming up on this episode. We kick things off with two cracking rounds of cricket cards before moving on to the recent action between India and Bangladesh, and of course England versus Pakistan. We then move on to the Proteas chat where we cover the Ireland series before closing with FIFER. Now with the leaderboard heating up, let's get straight into the action. So first up then, we're going to spin the player category wheel and see what we are looking for today. We are looking for a wicket keeper. The match type is T20. Where must this T20 wicket keeping star come from? The Southern Hemisphere only. And now we'll be looking for some stat types that they must have performed well in. The first one is batting average. We go again then. Matches played. And then we shall go for... This I'm going to leave in. Best figures, there is a bowler amongst these wicket keepers somewhere. We're going to leave it in. And then the last of them will be hundreds. Hundreds yet again. So the categories that we are going to be considering here are matches played, best figures, batting average, and total 100 scored. Of course, only in T20s. So because Coombs is last on the log, as you would have seen on screen, he's been pretty poor in this. We're going to let him go ahead and go first with his pick. We'll follow that up with Kuv and then Divi.
I'm going with Quinny.
Quinton de Kock from Coombs as the first pick. Kuv then.
I'm going to go McCullum.
Brendan McCullum from Kuv. Nice one there. And Divi last.
100 Klassen.
100 Klassen from... So we've got two South Africans here. And a Kiwi in McCullum. Now let's have a look at the stats. So the first of the categories is matches played then. Quinton de Kock with 369 T20s played. 100 Klassen then with 212. And Brendan McCullum with 370. Oh my word, that one is close. So that leaves Kuv with 2. Coombs with 1, and unfortunately Henry Klassen ends up with 0 there, so Divi with 0. The next category then is batting hundreds. We're going to start off with Brendan McCullum. McCullum has 7 hundreds in T20s. Back to Klassen then, and he's got just 2. And then Quinton de Kock with 7 as well. So we're going to split the pot there. 1.5 for each of you, Quinton de Kock and McCullum. Divi yet again. Klassen. I never thought that Henry Klassen would be the man to let you down. So in terms of best bowling figures, now you might be wondering why we kept this in, but we'll tell you right now, Quinton de Kock hasn't bowled ever in a T20. Henry Klassen, though, has in fact bowled in the T20. He's bowled 42 balls. Best figures in a match, 1 for 12. Brendan McCullum, then, has also bowled, but he doesn't have a wicket. So Klassen comes out trumps there and wins that one. Because Brendan's actually bowled, we're going to give Kuv 1 point. And then Quinton de Kock, unfortunately, Coombs, no point for you. Now, the last category, of course, batting average in T20. Starting off with McCullum, his average is 29.97 over back to 100 Klassen, and that average is 32.54. And then Quinny de Kock with 31.90. So Divi with 2 there. Coombs with 1 and McCullum there, giving Kuv 0. On to then, and where are we going to end up in terms of the player? This time we are looking for a batsman. In terms of the location, where must this batsman be from? Let us find out. Haha, we're on the other end this time. The Northern Hemisphere only. Now this batsman from the Northern Hemisphere needs to be good in which format? It's going to be first class. Okay, let's keep it interesting, I guess. The first of the stat categories then is going to be total runs. Next up then, 50s. All right, and the other category will be, oh my word, catches. Catches win matches. And then total wickets. So this round, we'll switch up the picking order. Divi first then. Who you got? Batsman from the Northern Hemisphere. Good in first class for those stats.
I'm going to go Alistair Cook.
Alistair Cook first up then. Kuv next.
I'm going to go Sachin. I know you bowled a bit, so.
Sachin Tendulkar then. Bang and Coombs. Who we got
Kohli.
from the Northern Hemisphere?
Kohli.
Virat Kohli. So first up then, total runs, and we will start with that first pick, Alistair Cook. In first class cricket, he's got 26,643 runs. Move over then to Sachin Tendulkar, and in first class cricket, he has 25,396 runs. And then off to Kohli, Virat Kohli, chilling with 11,196 runs in first class cricket. So Cook with 2 points for Divi, Tendulkar with 1 point for Kuv, and no points for Virat Kohli. Again, very interesting that Virat Kohli, like Klaasen, will let someone down. So next up then, Kohli's 50s in first class cricket, 38 of them. We'll pop back to Alistair Cook, and Alistair Cook has 125. My word. And then we'll go back to Sachin Tendulkar, and Tendulkar has 116. So again, Alistair Cook comes up trumps there. 2 points for Divi, 1 point for Tendulkar from Kuv, and none for Virat. So we're going to start off again with Sachin Tendulkar, and in first class cricket, he's got 186 catches. Back to Virat then, and Virat has 144. And then over to Alistair Cook. First class cricket, oh my word, this is a romp. 386 catches. Jeez Louise. So what we have here is, again, 2 for Alistair Cook, 1 for Sachin Tendulkar, and 0 for Virat Kohli. And then over to the last one, which was total wickets. Alistair Cook, bowling in first class cricket, has 7 wickets. Over to Virat then, and Virat has just 3. Sachin Tendulkar to end the show with 71 wickets, and yet again, Virat gives Kums no points. Tendulkar with 2 for Kuv and 1 from Cook for Divi. So after those 2 rounds of cricket cards, here's the updated scoreboard on screen. Kums finally has some points, so congratulations to him. But yet again, Divi seems to be slapping things left, right, and center when it comes to the scoreboard. Decent day for Kuv as well. But now let's move on to the recent roundup. So we'll kick things off by talking about India smashing Bangladesh, absolutely trouncing them in that second T20. And of course, with the side, there is a big mix and match of all their young stars. Nitish Kumar Reddy smacking things up, Hyderabad boy. We'll start with you then, Kums. What do you make of one of your own there? A lad from the Sunrisers killing it with bat and with ball.
I think we've touched on it before. We spoke about the amount of depth that India has in all their sides, and the fact that they do go out and play these other teams that are lesser matched, but still give the youngsters a chance. Really impressed with the performance, the individual performance by Reddy and the other guys that played around him. I think even though it was Bangladesh, even though they gave the spectators a chance, and these boys are knocking on the door. So if one of the big names in the team, who's locked down as an example, fails to perform, then you've got boys that are knocking on the door on a consistent basis. Even Rinku, let's not forget Rinku, right? Rinku's always been in the wings. Rinku's always done what was asked of him. And again, how does he get into that India side? But if you think about who comes in as a reserve or second string, Rinku's almost your number one finisher.
Yeah, no, I agree with Combs. India's depth across all formats is unbelievable. But even the names that got put onto the team list, you would say they sort of probably second string, Indian lineup. But they'll probably walk into any other first team around the world, and it's crazy the kind of talent that they've got there. I think Reddy played unbelievably with both bat and ball. And, Varun Chakravarti did some stuff with the ball as well. I mean, just the names that they have that are in their second team is unbelievable. Just a shame that once again our man Sanju is letting us down. We've been backing for a long time, and just unfortunate again, the international level is just not getting it. And now, like we said, with all the talent that India has, those opportunities might become fewer and fewer now, and he's really got to put a few innings together to make sure that at least he backs us. You know what I mean? At least we're not talking rubbish, and hopefully it gets a full go in the Indian first team.
The one takeout for me from the Sanju thing was that they gave him a chance up top, and I think in the past we said that Sanju was almost that, I don't know where to put him. Just, we need a number 6, let him go. We need a number 3, let him go. If they give him, I'm hoping, a few opportunities at the top, in the top 3, yeah, then it's up to
Yeah.
him to take that opportunity.
And the
No,
thing with
completely
Sanju is
agree.
up against some stiff competition. I mean, obviously got Rishabh that's still around. You've got KL Rahul that's all of a sudden come back into the picture, playing as a keeper batsman. So look, you
Uh,
kind of just pray for him.
the man batting alongside him, Abhishek Sharma, right up there
Yeah,
himself.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. he can kind of
Uh,
do it all. So we never know. Maybe I'm glad that Sanju has gotten a proper shout here, but disappointing yet again. It's one of those stories. We've said it before, though. It seems like when he does get a chance, he lets it slip through the fingers, and unfortunately, the chances are going to stop coming at some point. Nonetheless, though, India, oof, absolutely smoked Bangladesh here. Some good performances, and a lot of these players, we perhaps find them to be regular cricketers that we all know because of the IPL, but a lot of them, as Divi said, would get into most sides in the world. I mean, look, as much as the second string side, they still have Surya Kumar Yadav in there and Hardik Pandya. And then Ashdeep starts every day of the week, I would say, for the first team. These young guys, Riyan Parag, Washington Sundar, Varun Chakravarti is a little bit older, but hasn't really got a shot in the past. Rinku Singh, of course, they are going to be around for a long time. I think they're going to keep killing it for a long time. Now, the series is currently 2-0. One to go. India have already won it, of course. Dead rubber there. Probably a few more runs from some of the youngins, but let's see what happens. Over on the other end, then, now just a little bit north, in Pakistan, on a very hard road with no potholes, England have put Pakistan to the sword after Pakistan started off fairly well themselves. What did we make of the first test action so far?
I honestly thought England it up because they, toward the end of the innings, because yeah, it was an absolute road, and you shouldn't approach it with a traditional test mindset. You wanna give at least 350 to 400 runs to avoid batting on day 5, but they pulled it. They timed it quite well. Turns out, because as it stands, Pakistan are 6 down, and it looks like that 115 runs may be enough that they have in the bank. But to touch on the innings, well played. We talked him up last time out. Harry Brook, killer. I watched his innings even on. Well, I didn't watch the entire thing, but watched the main parts. And when he was on 280 something, played a 6 over extra cover. I mean, that tells you about his mindset. 300 coming up, you can walk singles, and he was still going for it because um, it's a team game. Yeah, Root as well. Take away nothing from him. Is in amazing form, especially in the Test arena. And I think the biggest thing is when you're batting on a deck like this, you need to take your opportunities. So yeah, and Brook and Root did that.
look, Pakistan did bat well in the first innings. I think they probably should have got a bit more than 550 at one stage. With when Azam and Shan Masood were together, they looked in no trouble whatsoever, and then lost a few wickets. Rizwan playing a silly shot as well, giving it away. But scoring 820 odd from England, it's unbelievable. I think what what allowed them, or what normally when you see 500 plays 800, you expect it to sort of peter out into a draw. But I think this the speed in which England scored those runs, sort of brought time back into the game. Yeah, but 5.5 and over and 150 overs. I mean, that's insane. And I think you're right, Sorrow. I mean, Coombs. They timed they timed the declaration well. I think going into bat after being smashed down for 150 overs,
Hmm.
it takes a lot. And you saw a couple of wickets, especially the first one of the first ball. You could see it was a tired shot. You've been in the field for a long time, and it's not. It's not. I think you can feel for 150 overs. The batsman is block, and they 300 or
Yeah.
for 8 or whatever. There's more sort of psychological damage when you're pitching the ball from the boundary every 3 or 4 balls, and you could see that the Pakistan team went up for it coming out second time around. And that's well done by Ollie Pope. Probably the best thing he's done the whole Test match so far. I'm sure
Yeah.
he'll be kicking himself for that. But do you feel sorry for him? I think it was the last week of the Pakistan innings. They nicked off the slip, and then Ben Duckett hurt his hand. So he wasn't able to come out and open the batting, and that's why Ollie Pope was up there. And you feel kind of sorry for him. Obviously, he's down probably 3 or 4, and thought he'll have some time, but had to come straight back out. So you feel sorry for him, but I'm sure he'll be kicking himself on a wicket like that.
I think another thing you were talking about, maybe expanding a bit more on, when a team comes out and makes 550, in the first innings, they're going in with their tails up, and then it is so demoralizing to be replied with 820. So standing 150, like you said, 150 overs in the field, but if you bowl your team out, the opposition out for 300, that's what you're expected to do now. You put 500 on the board, bowl them out for 300 and 150 overs. But to get 820 is like, yeah, that's demoralizing, man. Bowlers all got centuries. Let's just take a look at the bowling figures. What did the Pakistan bowlers do? Yeah, look at that. Shaheen. How do you ask these? How Shakil bowled 2 overs? Everyone else got a century there. That's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. As you're saying, I think you hit it on the head there, because you would never think, regardless of the conditions, you would never think that a team would, and kudos to England for coming out on the back of conceding 500 odd runs and then mustering up the gusto to go, nah, they were good, but we are way better, and then smacking it all around the park to get 800 and somewhat. Now, Pakistan's bowling, you can feel a little bit sorry for them, because very much a road, always going to be hard, always going to be difficult in both ways, including in that first innings that Pakistan batted. But then Pakistan came out in the second innings, and completely different story. 2 wickets for Gus Atkinson then, and Braden Carse, South African born, also with wickets. Do we think that the Pakistani bowlers weren't actually that good?
I think it's exactly what Divesh said. It's the morale, after coming out like this. You thought you won the game in day 2. You thought you have a winning chance, and then suddenly you asked to do the impossible. Now, yeah, as you said, as Divi said, tired shots, tired, like.
Ramiz Raja said before the second Pakistan innings that they were thoroughly embarrassed by England after that 800 knock, and that they should be coming out to show a little bit of courage and kind of almost play for themselves. He alluded to the fact that cricket is a team game, but is also very much an individual sport, and a lot of these young batsmen need to make a mark for themselves. And also BABAR'S, who has been in horrible form this entire World Test Championship cycle. Didn't get many runs here. We felt bad for Ollie Pope. Do we feel bad for Babar Azam? Do we think this guy needs to almost catch a wake up, because it's been poor?
Yeah, you feel for him. I think with Baba, he's almost like a cricketer that you always want to do well. He seemed like a good guy, and he's performed in the past as well, and we know how good he is. We've compared him to the likes of Root and Steve Smith and Kane Williamson as your top 4 in the world that's currently playing, and it's not great to see him struggle like this. I don't know what it is. Might be a mental thing, might be a technical thing. We did speak about him closing himself off now.
Another LBW on that note.
Another LBW as well. So, look, the problem is he's got out into like basically both sides of the wicket. He's got out to the one going away from him, and now he's getting out to the one coming back into him. And when that happens, when your fix is causing you more problems than anything, you don't know where to go from that after that. You don't know what to do. And for him, I think it's become more mental than anything else, because you've worked on something that you were weak at, and that sort of fix has caused you to have other issues. And now you're getting out, getting caught in the crease, getting trapped LBW, and it's hard. It's hard to go from getting your stuff together, fixing it all, and then it just backfires. And I think mentally he's probably scrambled, and you kind of hope for his sake and Pakistan's sake that he sorts it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think I do feel bad for Baba because he was built up to be, you know, the next big thing, and he probably will be, but he's going through a bad patch in form. I think we should address what everyone's talking about, and it's the fact that Pakistan in recent times have not really played the best of opponents, and
Mm.
Baba's rich vein of form is on very batting friendly tracks, and most of the time against lesser opponents. Um, but I think, yeah, take nothing away from him. It could also be a function of the fact that he's built up into such, or they've made such a big thing of Baba, and now bowlers and teams are now paying attention, which means they do their homework, and now he's been found out. So the next thing for Baba, and I hope he does it, is go and work on his faults and try and come out and surprise them again,
I
because he's
think
good.
I think what Divi picked on there is on that note as well, though, Combs. This started sometime around when he thought he had a fault that he needed to fix, and the new guard that he's been taking in recent times
Mm.
seems to have caused a lot of these problems. But as you said, I would hope that he finds some form going forward. I mean, as much as people like to call him Zum Barber and all of this nonsense,
Yeah,
he's a
yeah,
good cricketer. Like,
yeah.
in general terms, he's enjoyable to watch batting. It,
Mm.
it's good cricket shots, king of fours, as you'd call him in the white ball formats. Good cricketer. One quick question then before we end off this roundup. I want to know, would you rate Babar Azam in the same vein or same light as some of the men that came before him, like Mohammad Yusuf Yohana, if you want to call him that, Yunus Khan, and the likes?
I don't think he's quite there yet. I think those guys were in a different class, and yes, I'm sure they also had slumps in form, but definitely came back and performed. And I think where Baba has a little bit of sort of advantage over those guys that Baba gets to play on flat
Mm.
wickets in Pakistan. I mean, those guys, a lot of their games were, in the UAE, and probably not as flat as what we're seeing in Multan at the moment. So I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he's definitely probably more talented than they are, but I think from just an all-round cricketing perspective, I don't think he's quite there. I think they showed a bit more mental toughness and sort of more intangible skills were a bit stronger than what Barber's showing at the moment.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think Baba's on track to get there, and now he's reached his first major hurdle. And to remind you, a couple of years ago, Kohli was at this patch, and look how he came back, even at that age, right? Baba is much younger. So the question is, if Baba wants to go down in the books as, one of the Pakistani greats, he needs to find a way to get out of this and, get people watching him play again.
Completely agree. So, on that note, let us know what you think of Babar's form in the comments. Do you think he's up there with the greatest ever Pakistani batsman? And what did you make of all of the action that happened in that first test? Of course, two more tests coming from that series. Hopefully, they will be a little bit more competitive in the next two. But we will watch those and give you all of our views in the next roundup. Now, we're back for Proteas Chat. Now, we've done this with just Kuv and I in a previous episode as a standalone. Today, we're going to include it as a very brief Proteas chat covering the white ball series between South Africa and Ireland. What did you guys think of that series? We showed spurts of brightness and then also some pretty dull moments as well.
Yeah, I think what was, especially in the last game, we saw um, our bowling lineup was completely inexperienced and probably not enough quality there just as yet. I think we were before the
Mm.
start of the series, we were happy with the batting lineup. There was a good mixture between the older guard and sort of young players coming through. I think that a bowling lineup sort of got thrown in at the deep end a bit. You're missing Rabada and Nokia and
Mm-hmm.
Kutsia and the likes, and I think it showed. And one weakness that's sort of that keeps popping up with this Protea side is their lack of ability to chase down scores. I think in recent times we've batting first. You saw in those first two games we had no issues. We got in trouble in a couple of them and were able to work sort of bat out of them. I think when we get in
Yeah.
trouble in the chase, we sort of panic and we see that we're getting behind the rate and play a few silly shots. The guys have the ability to sort of catch up at the back end, but that pressure gets them, that scoreboard pressure gets them, and they end up sort of throwing the wicket away by playing shots that just aren't there yet. But all in all, not a bad series. Got your boy Jason Smith showed some resolve in the last game and showed why she should be picked. And yeah, it's good. It's a series again that we want to see the young players put their hands up, and I think the guys like Ryan Rickleton has. Definitely Tristan Stubbs had a great series. Andila as well. He's very experienced now, but it was good to see him put his hand up as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything new because I mean, we coming into this, we spoke about the inexperience, we spoke about trying a few new things. One thing I just want to touch on was that Stubbs in the second game is 100. I watched that, brilliantly played. But if I could just switch to conditions, something I noticed here was even in that Stubbs innings, or even if you watch the Irish innings, it wasn't a go out there and bang, 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 and
Yes.
easy to hit sixes kind of game, but it was a 6 runs per over game. You could get, if you ran your singles well, which South Africa showed in both, the first two matches, and Ireland showed in the third match. If you'd got your basics right and didn't get greedy, you could achieve a score. And batting first was a killer because running around that fielding in those conditions really took it out of you. You could see it, when batsmen were in for more than half an hour, the t-shirts were absolutely soaked.
So
Bowlers coming in at the back end and bowling, they were like all half dead. How do you go into the change room for 30 minutes and then come out and bat after that?
absolutely ridiculous. It was bloody hot over there, and as you said, batsman was soaked within 30 minutes, if that. Good series for me. A good series for a few there. Definitely, Ryan Rickleton finally put his hand up. We were saying that he could be a little bit on the Sanju train there, but he's completely destroyed that notion. Played brilliantly, I think, and definitely in line to be long term now at the top of the order. Interestingly, though, Carl Verena also showed some murmurs of being pretty decent. So now we have this toss up of having potentially two keepers that are going to be in the side going forward, and I guess you can play one of them as a batsman solely. Then we'll go to my man, of course, Jason Smith, putting his hand up, and it's brilliant to see that we finally have something that looks like he could be a batting all-rounder. Now, you can definitely toss it up with the ball. We've seen that as well. I would like to see that go well for him, but he definitely needs a lot more cricket before we can make a decision on that end. We've previously said in red card, green card, Lizard Williams, not for us. Kuv and I both were in agreement that he shouldn't be in the side, especially because he's 31 now. Like, what are we trying to do with it? But then he comes out of the series with the most wickets, done brilliantly at times. I would say he bowled well. It's one of those cases of we were harping on this for a long time. What are you actually trying to learn from the series? We gave ourselves very few questions that we could actually answer, and I think from them, more or less, we've answered most of them and come out quite cleanly. Going forward into the next action that we're going to see with South Africa, we've got a bunch of things going on. India T20 series, Bangladesh Test series back on. We then still have Pakistan to play in the Test series and Sri Lanka. Lots of action. We play Bangladesh away, and then we play Sri Lanka and Pakistan at home. 6 matches left in the World Test Championship for us. If we win 5 of those 6, we make the final. That's going to be a tough one. Hopefully none of the South African matches in that mix are washed out. That's probably the biggest concern for me. Lastly, before we close off the process chat, I just want to say, shout out to JP Dumini. The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
Your batting coach comes on and the first thing he does is flies to cut out a boundary. Oh my word. Rolling back the years, Japes is only 40, but he looked all of 25 at that point, and great to see it. Great to see it.
It's crazy to think that we've got a couple of South Africans that retired way too early. It's crazy to think that Dumini is 40. It's crazy to think that De Villiers is around the same age. It's also crazy to think that Faf has retired so long ago, but he's still killing it. Yeah, it feels like South African cricketers, the best of the best, have retired way too early. Morney
You know,
Walker was another one they touched on the other day. He's only 40, and it feels like he retired a whole generation ago.
you say that about these South African cricketers that retired an age ago. The CPL final was a face-off between Faf du Plessis and Imran Tahir.
Yeah, yeah,
What on
exactly.
earth? These guys are, yeah, man. I think we've touched on it a long time before when we said that South Africa has this unique situation where, in general terms, cricketers retire around the age of 32, 33, and sometimes even younger, and it's been going on for donkey's years. At the time when Jayasuriya and Sachin Tendulkar were retiring at 40, we had guys like, what age did Gary Kirsten retire? Probably like 32, 33, maybe 34, given out a stretch. Neil McKenzie,
Even Cullis,
Smith,
Cullis, I felt
Cullis.
went too early. Yeah,
And I think the only one that slightly bridged that was Amla. He held on for a little bit at the end. But the rest, far too young. And I think a lot of them still had a lot to offer in cricketing terms.
Yeah, but I just think it's sort of the modern reality for a South African cricketer. You talk about Gary Kirsten retiring late, but there was no other option other than him continuing to play cricket at the highest level, for his country. But now, with these T20 leagues around the world, a lot of these players probably think, what, the money is there if I just stop playing international cricket and just travel around.
Move on there, yeah.
Yeah, and earn the money. I've got probably five years left in my career where I can really contribute, and I might as well go play it where I can earn a bit of cash. So I understand why sort of South African cricketers in recent time are doing this. I think we see that as well with the West Indian teams.
Kuni. What about Kuni? Eh?
Kuni as
Kuni's still
well.
around, but he's no longer around. If you
Yeah,
think about it.
so I mean,
Unofficially retired.
Yeah.
it's those. It's just the money issue. I think the boards like your India, Australia, and England. They probably pay them quite well enough for them to continue playing international cricket. Whereas the likes of the West Indies and South Africa, you'll probably see a lot more earlier retirements, compared to the big three.
No, spot on. Pollard, Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan, just to name a few.
Next up then is FIFER, and here is your current leaderboard. Will there be some movement on this today? Let's find out. So your non-FIFER question of the day, I'm going to give you a little bit of context first. In 2021 at Centurion, Pakistan made a score against South Africa in a T20 international. In this innings, Pakistan made the highest ever average runs per wicket against South Africa. What was the highest ever average runs per wicket against South Africa in a T20? So, Combs is on top of the leaderboard as you've just seen. He will go first, followed by Divi, and then Kuf.
66.
66 from Combs,
I'm gonna go 75.
75 from Divi, and Kuf.
In the back of my mind, there's an innings that Baba and Rizwan played where they didn't get out. So I'm gonna say like 200. It was like
Oh,
200
You-
and something.
Oh,
You
my
are
word.
spot
It
on.
is that. Yeah.
That is very close. The actual score in that game was 205 for 1. So 205 per wicket was the answer. And that leaves Kuf first, Divi second, and Combs in last. So, of course, easiest question for Kuf first then. So then, Kuf, can you name the top 5 bowlers with the most test wickets against South Africa?
Just by law of averages, Murali.
Ding ding. Murali is number 2.
Okay. James Anderson.
Jimmy Anderson, number 3. Ding ding.
Stuart Broad.
Stuart Broad, number 4. Ding ding.
Against South Africa. Let's try Shane Warne.
Ding ding ding. Number 1, Shane Warne. You still got your bounces in the bag. Now you're looking for just number 5.
I'm gonna go with 2 of the bowlers that I missed in the last question that Divi got. So I'm gonna try Kumble and Ashwin.
Ding ding ding. Anil Kumble, number 5, and the first proper FIFER. Clean, clean, clean. Kum's done it without any bounces. And now I'm going to ask you a question for a bonus point. I'll give you the bonus point if you're within 10% of the actual amount that I'm asking for. Shane Warne was at the top, number 1. How many wickets did he take?
So within 10%. 88.
That's a
No
bit low,
way.
unlucky. It was 130. So, this is absolutely perfect for the leaderboard because Kuv is going to surge here. 5 out of 5. Clean, clean, clean. No steals for anyone today. Leaving nothing behind because he is the man that has been stolen against the most. So, for DV then, the medium question. Can you name the top 5 batsmen with the most runs in a single test match having batted in both innings in the 21st century?
Oof, okay. I'll go Ricky Ponting.
That's the first bouncer, and that's the first bouncer of the day.
I don't know if he batted in both, but I'm gonna go Brian Lara.
Ding ding, it's not the match you're thinking about, but yes, Brian Lara, number 3.
Let's go with okay. Scored a lot of runs in a test match. Michael Clark.
That's your second bouncer.
And the last one, I'll go for the classics. I'll go with Sachin Tendulkar.
Sachin Tendulkar is not your answer. So the first steal then, and back to Kov.
I'm going to go with a guy who scored quite a lot of runs in multiple test matches, but surely one of them was 2 innings. I'm going to go Jai Wardner.
Not Jay Wardner. He did score a lot of runs, 1 innings though. Comes then.
Your route.
Not it, not your route, at least not yet. So the full list for you then, starting with number 5 was Stephen Fleming with 343. There was 274 and 69, both not out in fact. Then in number 4, Yunus Khan, 267 in the first innings, 84 not out in the second, leaving him with 351. Brian Lara in number 3. This time around, it was 221 and 130 to leave him on 351. Of course, you might have been thinking of the 400 not out. Number 2 then, Graham Smith, 277 in the first innings, 85 in the second against England at Birmingham. You guys might remember that.
Yeah.
The legend. And number 1, for the life of me, Kuvu's close, not close enough though. Kumar Sangakkara, 319 in the first innings, 105 in the second, 424. It actually leaves him as the third top in the all-time most runs in a match. Of course, Graham Gooch on top there with 456. So for Kums, then the hardest question. Can you name the top 5 batsmen with the most ODI runs in a single calendar year since 2000 only? So only in the 21st century.
Wow. BABAR'S.
Babar'S is not it.
Mohammad Rizwan.
Mohammad Rizwan is also not what you're looking for. 2 bounces straight up.
Virat Kohli.
Virat Kohli
No way.
is not your answer either. This is 3 bounces straight up. We had none to start, and now we've got them all coming in heaps, hordes, and droves. First steal then for Kuv yet again.
The mighty Ash.
Hashim Amla, not it, interestingly enough.
I'm gonna go Quinny de Kock.
Quinton de Kock, not it either. This started off as a clean house and ended up with a house that's burnt down. Absolutely nothing in the question. I'm going to give you all 5. It's people you know, but as such, it was the hardest question. So, number 5 then, Martin Guptill in 2013, 1,489 runs in the calendar year. In 2019 then, Rohit Sharma at number 4 with 1,490. Number 3 then, in the year 2000 when they started, Saurav Ganguly, 1,579 runs. Number 2, Shubman Gill in 2023, 1,584 runs. And your top man in the 21st century in 2007, Matty Hayden, 1,601 runs. So that's how it goes. Names you could have guessed, but names that I thought you weren't that likely to guess, and that's why I made it the hardest question. Here we go then with the updated leaderboard, and as interesting as it has ever been. Now that is it for FIFER today, as you can see from the leaderboard. Hot, hot, hot. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please drop us a like, hit the subscribe button, and of course, the notification bell as well to stay tuned for everything that is to come. Coming up soon in the future episodes, we will be doing a preview of the South Africa Bangladesh Test Series. That one starts on the 21st of October, so just about a week or so away. Of course, South Africa also take on India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka later on in the year, and we'll keep you covered with all the Proteas chats for that. The Cricket Show will be back with more games and action and another roundup when we're back for that. But until the next one, don't forget to pour shots and cheers.